Hello, everyone. This reading is from Psalm 66, and it's verses 1 to 6. Shout for joy to God, all the earth. Sing the glory of his name. Make his praise glorious. Say to God, how awesome are your deeds! So great is your power that your enemies cringe before you. All the earth bows down to you. They sing praise to you. They sing the praises of your name. Come and see what God has done, his awesome deeds for mankind. He turned the sea into dry land, and they passed through the waters on foot. Come, let us rejoice in him.
Well, hello and happy Wednesday, everybody. This will go out on Wednesday, although today's Tuesday. I'm recording it there, and it's raining. It's I think it's dried up a little bit now, but it's been raining this morning, so that's been a bit of a change in the weather. Loved by the grass, no doubt, and hay fever sufferers, who hopefully a bit of dampness in the air will ease that, because I know those from hay fever have been hit pretty bad the last few days. And of course, ducks always love the rain, love it when it rains. So yes, and I've got a jumper on because it was a little cooler in the house this morning. So anyway, good day. I hope you're all doing okay. It's continues to be locked down. But anyway, I trust that you're well, been able to catch up with some folk, and I know others have been in touch across the board. But it is what it is, and it's tricky, no end in sight. We sort of faithfully talked about the non-anxious and faithful presence of God's people through all of this, and for some of us, that's within the congregation. Some of you within the congregation, that's really starting to bite. And people have settled into routines, which is great, and but for other people, it's not at all proving easy. So do continue to pray and to remember each other. Do send in your lockdown photographs. I know for some people, taking a selfie and sending it in feel a bit self-conscious, but it's just a great way to remind ourselves of who we are, the life of the church. The church isn't that building, it is us, the people. We are the church of God. The building is closed, but the church continues to live and breathe and have its being. So do send in your lockdown photographs, and we will be sharing those across the life of the church. And then hopefully at some point we'll make some kind of celebratory video in time. Secondly, it's Wednesday today. If you're free at noon and want to join us for Midday Prayers, it would be great to see you. Really would be good to see you. Again, to pause in the middle of the day and just pray together, read the scriptures together, remember those things which are on our heart before we then continue on into the afternoon. So if you can join us for that. Heads up for this Sunday, it was in the news, but we're going to be taking communion as part of our Zoom worship on Sunday morning. So do come prepared for that. Some bread and wine or juice or whatever you have to hand, as we give thanks to God for one another and gather round. Although we are scattered and displaced, it is still that all that communion represents that holds us together and keeps us together. So we'll be doing that as well. And also pray for Chris Willis, who's our new youth worker. He officially starts on Friday, and under normal circumstances would have been presented in front of the church on Sunday. We're hoping might be able to join us for Zoom worship, although he's certainly going to be with the young people in their time. But if they finish in time and he's able to join us, it'll be good to introduce him. But we will be slowly introducing him to the congregation so that you can all get to know him as well. We give thanks for those who are well, those who have recovered or are recovering. Continue to pray for those who need our prayers at the moment. Richard continues to have a bit of a fever, a bit of a temperature, so pray for him particularly. But also, I spoke to 3 members of the church yesterday who have lost either family members or close friends, which is so hard, really, really hard in this present context as well. And they feel that sense of loss, and the things that you would instinctively do and that are part of the healing process, just to be with people. We can't do this, as we know, and as we've talked about before. So just to pray that that God is not unaware of that, and God's comfort may God's comfort still be very real to those people, and may they draw strength from that in the days that lie ahead. Which brings us on to our psalm. Psalm 66 is our psalm for today in the lectionary readings, and it's a psalm of celebration. It's a psalm of rejoicing. It's a psalm of praise for God's goodness. It makes a bold announcement, if you like, command, or just a voice bubbling over with praise. Make a joyful noise to God, all the earth. All the earth. It's not simply to be addressed to our nearest and dearest, to those we know, but it's bold in its proclamation. It's bold in its vision. It's bold in its claim. It feels it can announce to the whole world, and it has a right, if you like, or the audacity to announce to the whole world, to invite the whole world, because it's a psalm of praise, but it's also a psalm of invitation. Come, whole world. It comes out of the community of faith. It comes out of the people of Israel. It comes out of those who are the followers of Yahweh. But it's not if you like, an invitation, come and watch us. It's a come and join us. Come and enter into the life of God that we have found, the God who has come to us, the God who we sing glory to his name, give him his glorious praise. Say to God, how awesome are your deeds. Because of your great power, your enemies cringe before you. And so it's an invitation to the world, the whole world, all of creation, all of humankind, to come and to leave the gods of their world behind, and to come to worship the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, the God of Yahweh, to worship the God of the psalmist. It's an audacious claim. It's an outrageous claim, but it comes out of the experience of God's faithfulness, the experience of God's kindness and presence. This isn't a call and an invitation that comes out of the abstract, to come and leave the gods of this world behind in a contest between the gods. Come and worship this God who has set us free, who has made himself evident in our lives and in our world. And the psalmist roots that claim in real history, in a real event, because he goes on to say, come and see, where are we? Verse 5, come and see what God has done. He is awesome in his deeds among mortals, among humankind. And this is the event. He turned the sea into dry land, and they passed through the river on foot. And so the psalmist takes the world back, takes the whole earth back to that Exodus event, to that occasion where the slaves in Egypt, when Israel was in slavery in Egypt, under the power of Pharaoh, oppressed and abused, powerless, unable to set themselves free. He takes them back to that event, that defining event that shapes who this community is. That this community is defined by this event in real history. The God that they believe in is not a God who is just some kind of theoretical talking point in the pub one evening where you can bounce ideas around about God in some kind of abstract way. But this is a God who entered into real human history and entered into their experience of oppression, their experience of slavery, of powerlessness, of hopelessness. of everything around them, telling them that their God was no God, that the God of Pharaoh, the God of the Egyptians, those gods were the true gods. That's where the true power was. That true power lay in the corridors of Pharaoh's palace, and in all that he represented and all that symbolism around. And the psalmist says, not so much, not so much. Truth, we cried out to God, and day after day we lifted our voice before him, wondering if he would ever come and set us free. But one day he came and he led us, and he parted the waters, and we passed through on dry ground. And he led us to a spacious place. And the psalmist, if you continue to read through the psalm, we've only heard the first 6 or 7 verses, but the psalmist goes on about the struggles and the trials of their life, the life of Israel, the life of the psalmist himself, through the tests and the burdens and the struggles and the purification that he has gone through. And yet in all of that, he has never doubted God's faithfulness because of that defining event, because of that. You are the God who came to set us free from the hands of Pharaoh. You came to set us free from Egypt. And as we know, Israel always in the Passover annually reminded herself of where she gets her identity from, where Israel gets a true sense of who they are as God's people. It is this event that defines them. And even today, the Jews continue to remind themselves that in all their struggles and in all their tribulations, all the persecutions that the Jews experience today, that they remain those who are defined by the Exodus event. While we were yet powerless in Egypt, God came to set us free. And of course, for those of us who name Jesus Christ as Lord and Saviour, while we were yet powerless, God sent his Son to die for us on a cross. But we are defined by Israel's Exodus, but also by the cross, by Calvary, by this event in real history, where God in Christ came to earth and gave himself as an offering for us, and in our place died for us so that we might be set free, so that we might find ourselves in a spacious place, so that we might know that God has opened up his arms, has bared his holy arms, and has come to us and has redeemed us and saved us. And I have no idea what circumstances when the psalmist wrote this, whether it was good days or bad days, tough days or days of joy, but this psalm calls us in the midst of our day, however today is for us, to remind ourselves again to make a joyful noise to God, and that this God is the God of all things and the God of the whole earth, that the gods of this world are nothing compared to him, that all the enemies of this God will be destroyed, that this God has come into human history in the Exodus and in the cross. And through death and resurrection, we are defined. We are defined by those who do not grab onto power and look to the gods of this earth, and the gods of this world to define who we are. But we are those who are defined and understand life only through death and resurrection. That in the darkest moments of our life, the glorious light of God will break in, and there will be a new and a spacious place, and there will be rest, and there will be peace. And we are reminded again that this too will pass. And in the testing of these times, and in the struggles of these times, and in the frustration and the things that we're all finding out about ourselves, the psalmist invites us back to the cross and to see and to experience the love of God, and to be reminded that even though there may be darkness upon us at this time, there is evening and there is morning, and the light from heaven will break again upon us, and there will be blessing and peace, and he will be with us. And so we too, with the psalmist, however we are feeling today and however we are struggling, can say as our prayer, but truly God has listened. He has given heed to the words of our prayers. And so blessed be God, because he has not rejected our prayers. He has not rejected my prayer. And he has not removed his steadfast love from me. So I pray that God's steadfast love would remain with you today, that you would know that because of all that God has done for us in Jesus Christ, that he will not leave you. He has not left you. He holds you and keeps you. And in the struggles and the anxieties of today, that day, that Calvary day, the day of death and resurrection defines this day, shapes this day, helps us to understand this day. And so we turn to the whole earth and we invite them to come and join us and to come and worship this God who has changed human history forever in that event. May the God who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit bless you and keep you, watch over you, and hold you this day and forever. Amen. Bless you all.